Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you all connected. Thank you for being on time. My name is Michelle, and I'll be doing the presentation today on why Costa Rica is a top destination after COVID-19. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Costa Rican Tourism Board, which is the official body that regulates the tourism industry in Costa Rica. And it is a ministry. We're linked hand to hand to our government, and this is official information. Very important nowadays, as we have a lot of fake news going around. And in behalf of the group Pro Imagen, the group Pro Imagen is a group about 90 members with hotels, tour operators, travel agents, car rentals, domestic airlines. So we are the build-up body that works with the government, private and public effort, in order to give you the most accurate, precise information, help you build a better trip for Costa Rica. If you have connected today, probably your doubts go around the situation after what we have lived worldwide. Myself, as a tour guide, tropical biologist, and travel agent as well for 30 years in Costa Rica, I will try to share a little bit of the expertise about our country to tell you and share with you why, and this is not a question, this is a statement, Costa Rica is a top destination after the COVID-19. So the way we'll do this is that I will turn off my camera and we'll be sharing a PowerPoint presentation, about 30 minutes approximately. At the end of it, we'll be collecting your questions and we'll be working with the answers we can give you. Also telling you that we're sharing this presentation as a Facebook Live. So it is probable that you are looking at us throughout the Facebook page and not throughout the Zoom connection. We will be seeing your questions as well. And at the end, our staff will share the questions with us, and we'll try to help you in these matters. So what I'll do right now is turn off the camera and we'll start sharing again for about 30 minutes this PowerPoint. Okay, so we'll go back to the very beginning. And here we go. So as we mentioned, the Grupo Pro Imagen is a group of professionals in tourism that's worked since 1994 in the promotion of Costa Rica. Basically, what we do is seminars. We go towards you and we share with you all the information about the outsources and the different attractions from Costa Rica. We will not let a situation like this keeping us away from you. So we still want to share the information about the country. This specific presentation is about what makes Costa Rica an ideal place to visit after this COVID. Remember, COVID is coronavirus disease 19. So it's a disease, definitely, that has had a big impact worldwide, but Costa Rica has had experience with this. And that's why Costa Rica is safe. I would like to tell you that in the area, when you travel, countries around us will still be warned about tropical diseases that we no longer have. For instance, let's talk about malaria. Costa Rica was able to eradicate this before other countries around us because of several reasons that we'll be sharing with you. And it all starts right here. It sounds weird to see a structure which used to be the base of the army that we abolished in 1948. Imagine that. And when we did that, we literally took out the military and put it teachers. We took out the guns and we put notebooks. And you may still wonder, how is this related to this disease you're talking about? Well, the money that was given to the military forces is now distributed between Social Security, education, and public interest housing. This means a lot. I would like to steal the words of this person called Ryoichi Sasakawa, a person who's known in the military, who saw a lot of blood, shed blood, running through his hands. And it says, "Blessed is the Costa Rican mother who knows that her son will never be a soldier." Wars in Costa Rica are something we see on the news, we see on a film, but it's not something that we live. So this will have an impact on the identity of the Costa Ricans. A good healthcare system. I will not just limit it to a good. I would go for an excellent. Take Costa Rica, a very small country, 0.03% of the planet. And our life expectancy worldwide is in between the US and Canada, countries that are much larger, much older, and most of all wealthier than Costa Rica. Our infant mortality doesn't go to a 1%. Remember, we're a third world country. Remember, we're just a growing country. And a 0.73% of infant mortality definitely is a number that talks about what we have. Let's bring it down to numbers. If I go to the official numbers, yesterday in Costa Rica, we had 3,459 confirmed cases, only 16 deaths. So we make the ratio, it's 0.004%. This definitely is a number that we're really proud of in Costa Rica. Unlike other countries that haven't run tests, we have run tests. And we have been able to be preventive. And this is something that we have worked ever since we had that healthcare system in 1940. Many of you weren't born, and if you were born, probably you didn't hear about Costa Rica in those days, and we already had a security system. Another thing that is very important is the free and mandatory education. A country that is literate, a country that has access to information on the newspaper, on the TV, throughout the internet, is a country that could be informed and therefore reactive, will know how to do, and will understand causes and consequences. So definitely, we are very proud of saying 97.3% literacy rate. Definitely is, as I mentioned before, one of the most important things, one of the key words when we understand Costa Rica is the way that we are able to inform, and the people would be able to react. Okay, so access to information definitely has helped us throughout this. Another thing that is important is the fact that Costa Rica is clean. Let's go back to 1985. Costa Rica, unknown for many travelers still back in those days, was the first country in the world to sell oxygen. $2.5 billion are received in Costa Rica from different governments and institutions for preserving the quality of the air. 26.3% of the territory's national parks and biological reserves. Add to that privately owned and managed reserves. It's 1/3 of the country that is protected. So definitely we have understood the principles. We can live on the forest without destroying it, unlike other countries. So this allows us to understand the value of preserving what you're looking at right now. The quality of the air, not having that smoke, that pollution over you ever since you land. On the other hand, you would understand that it's a mentality that it's important. What do you hear when we talk about this virus? Wash your hands, wash your clothes, hygiene. Costa Rica is a word that is familiar with. And Happy Planet Index, okay? Not just for us, but also for you. This is why Costa Rica is important in this matters. Having been named 5 times as the happiest planet on Earth, definitely will confirm to you that it's a good place to be. It doesn't come from inside, it comes from outside. Let's be honest. This situation has stressed you, your clients, and us. Yes, personally, I can say that. You don't want to go into another place where stress is lived. You want to go into a place where peacefulness and relaxation is lived, that will be contagious. And Costa Rica definitely is a country where that could happen. The friendliness of the Costa Rican is something that our guests, our visitors will never forget. As a tour guide, I know that once the visitor left the country, it doesn't take a week to forget all about the names of the birds and the animals and little towns they went through. But it's something that we'll never forget. I still receive mails from clients 20, 25 years ago. And it's the warmth of the Costa Ricans. We are peace lovers, and we are de pura vida, pure life. Hakuna Matata, if you don't speak Spanish. Okay, that's Costa Rican slang, that's lifestyle. And this is something your customer will feel when it comes to Costa Rica. Definitely something we all need at this time. The value of Costa Rica of a society is a society that understands both respect of the individual and the environment they are surrounded by. So they have been able to create an atmosphere that invites to immersion. It's an area that understands the potential of the commonwealth of all the Costa Ricans. We don't think about ourselves just, we think about our neighbor and about the people we don't even know. And this is something that is definitely important. And in terms of nature, I mean, just look at that ocean, at that sunset. Who wouldn't like to be in an environment like this, where you can bathe without a swimsuit because there's no pollution, because also the temperature is good. That is important. A natural paradise, multi-destination offers. And definitely, it is important to understand what is the person that will buy a tourism package avoid. Pay attention. I'm not saying what are they looking for. What are they going to avoid? Crowded places, places where my social bubble is threatened. So open space, remember we're talking about a third of the country that's protected, definitely is a very good option. And so many ways you can enjoy this. It is amazing how Costa Rica, throughout the years, has developed new products, attractive products for all the ages, so they don't all have to go to the same spot. I don't mean to be offensive to other countries and other destination, but in a place where you just have a pyramid, where will everyone go? To the pyramid. In a place where you only have a museum, where would everyone go? To that museum. Name it. It could be the same. When you have a third of the country that could be visited, definitely you will not have crowds. And this is good. And we will be able to fulfill the needs and the interests of different ages, social backgrounds, physical activity goals. So definitely this is good when you have a nature that is ready to welcome you and make you feel safe. Control experiences. And this is something very important. You know, when I began working in tourism, there was no internet. So you could, you know, have eventually a mistake. You wouldn't go too fast. But I learned from my grandfather that good news go fast, bad news go faster. How fast can they go now? Gigas, because we have the internet. So we have a generation now that knows how to look for information. Sometimes I am amazed when we have guests that know things about our country that we thought were unknown. But it's because we have that World Wide Web. And they will look up and they know that we have here hotels and tour operators and conditions that they know, so they feel comfortable with. What we're doing in Costa Rica is known. So they will have access to this. This is what we mean by a control experience. Okay, they know that we are doing all the necessary to control that next experience, that next event they're gonna have when they travel outside their countries. And definitely, this is something very comforting for the visitor all year round, okay? Costa Rica, throughout time, used different names to define our seasons. And I remember there was a time in which we talked about high season and low season, and we had some customers not very pleased to be named low season traveler. So we went to the dry season and the rainy season. Unfortunately enough, we're in the tropics, and people relate tropics, rainy season, to tropical storms. Not very encouraging. Let me tell you though that we changed that into the warm season and the green season, when everything becomes live. There's other countries in which you would have to wait into specific time of the year to allow your customers to go again. Here in Costa Rica, it's immediate. And the fact that we are so close to the equator, 8 to 11 degrees north of the equator, keeps us from having seasons. The temperature is stable all year round. Let me tell you that Costa Rica doesn't have seasons. We only have 22 minutes of difference between the longest and the shortest day in the country. We have the microclimates, 83 of them, and we have live zones, 12 of them. So your customer can go to different experiences in terms of climate, but all year round we'll be able to find the same. Definitely 22 minutes makes no season. And remember, I'd like you to keep in mind, that is the difference in between the shortest and the longest day. We are ready to welcome you any time of the year. It would always be warm. And one of the things you want to keep in mind when you look at Costa Rica, and we have worked really hard throughout the last years, is that rain here is not cold. That the oceans don't go through that thermal sensation. The temperature over here, say of the ocean, 82, 83 degrees Fahrenheit, year round. So how'd you like that? Having a jacuzzi as large as the Pacific or as large as the Caribbean here in Costa Rica. Basically, that's it. So you don't need to wait for a specific time of the year. If your customers are ready to travel past August the 1st, which is temporarily the date we have to reopen our airport, we will be ready for you, and the temperature will be ready for you. Animals, they're year-round. I could guarantee there's always this shows happening. There are animals that are used to the tropics, and it's the same condition all year round for them. So definitely keep that in mind. We don't have seasons in terms of tourism. We're ready for you anytime you're ready. And actually, this is what we were talking about, ecotourism, sustainability. Costa Rica, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, has learned to live out of the forest without destroying it, okay? Whales have two movements as Costa Rica receives animals from North America and South America, and for these ocean mammals, both families will have here birthplace. However, the southern family, September, October, find here shallower waters where the females, where the mamas, can protect their offsprings from the alpha males in the deep waters. Them, the males, will try to kill the babies just to get the females in heat again. That's what makes them stay very close to the coast and eases the observation for you. Therefore, our captains and tours operators, they have learned the safe distance This concept of safe distance is not new to us. It's something we have already built within ourselves to look at the whales without disturbing it. If we talk about the turtles, it's the very same thing. So Costa Rica has learned to make a long time relation with nature. And we are one of the very few countries in the world that can say that the forest coverage has been recovered and built up again, unlike other countries, most of all here in Latin America. Gastronomic experience. You have heard this probably. You are what you eat. And we have heard so many home recipes right now for fighting this COVID. But it all goes back to the same healthy food. Costa Rica, since we have no seasons, but we have 83 microclimates, guess what? We do have bananas, pineapples, mangoes. I know I'm tempting you right now. Most of all, it's noontime, lunchtime here in Costa Rica. But we have strawberries, we have apples, we have raisins. We even have macadamia. Less than 1% of the planet could have macadamia. Costa Rica is one of these countries that could have macadamia, and we have. So imagine having very fresh dishes before you every single day. This is very good and healthy food. So Costa Rica promotes that, Costa Rica prepares that, and Costa Rica is also creating a mentality of chemical-free products for our sources. All of this is very good. Remember what nutritionists say. You are what you eat. And this is very important. It's so important that in Costa Rica, we're paid by the pound. If you saw me at the beginning, you know what I'm talking about. Strong protocols. And believe me, here, I could spend the whole day talking about that. Obviously, it's like on TV, we don't have time. But I can tell you that every group that will have a contact with you, beginning with airplanes, transportation, hotels, tour operators, tour guides, restaurants, everything throughout your process has been receiving while you have been waiting for our doors to open again. Costa Rica has worked intensely to prepare all the different groups, following protocols from other countries, learning from experiences. But I'd like to remind you something. This isn't something new for us. Being in the tropics, we know what tropical diseases are, and we know how to deal with them. We just need the new linings for this. And we have learned that hygiene, remember we have talked about that already, is the key word over here. Definitely, this is something that Costa Ricans are familiar with. This isn't something scary or new for us. We know how to do that, and we're putting the protocols in procedure in all the different areas that will have a contact with you and your customers. Yes, we're ready in these areas as well. Luxury social distances. Even though Costa Rica began very shy as a tourism destination in 1930s, we began then with 2 volcanoes and a beach. We went through the Second World War, the Civil War in the late 40s in Costa Rica, the revolution here, and in the 70s, we began having scientific tourism, ornithologists, entomologists, zoologists, geologists, and then the word started spreading, and they invited their families, and it was a destination, most of all, for these nature lovers, and somehow related to an uncomfortable, what you will call nowadays backpacking experience. But we understood there was a lot of people that wanted to see this, but in a comfortable way, that we worked our way into having very fancy, small, boutique hotels, and very exclusive kind of lodgings in Costa Rica. So if you were meant to be in a social bubble for this virus, imagine this. And please don't tell me you wouldn't like to be in a place like this at this time, because I would. Definitely Costa Rica is ready in these ways. We're not running to create new lodging facilities. We already have them here. We have options for you in these matters waiting for you. Air access, even though we're a small country, 2.5 billion tourists came throughout an airport last year in Costa Rica. That's half of the population, imagine that. So definitely we can say that we are good in these ways. And as I said, airports and airlines have been working. I have been witness to several meetings in which we are working together as a group to follow and create statements on these protocols that we mentioned. So it's a good country in terms of connection, even though it's not a hub like Panama, but it is a good country in these matters. And definitely we have that experience that makes it comfortable for you. Demand segments. And this is something we have worked, perhaps under a different name, but Costa Rica understood that we needed to satisfy different needs at different times. As I said, we began as a very basic kind of destination, and then we understood that we needed to adapt. Within the country itself as well, we have created different areas. Areas for beach, fun sun, areas for combining nature and beach and nightlife, areas very exclusive for the naturalist, areas that would allow you to have that blending between nature, culture, areas that will give you medical access. That's a new kind of tourism. So we do understand, we have for a while understood the concept of adapting. And Costa Rica understands that the demand right now will be changing throughout the years. And probably the first customers we'll have is in their social bubbles. But then we understand that there will be professional tourism as well, that it would take us a while to see those large groups again in Costa Rica. But we're ready for all of them. This is what it's important. And Costa Rica is able to respond from the FITs to professional seminars and congresses here in Costa Rica. We're ready for every single need in Costa Rica. We didn't know we were getting ready for this, but this is the reason for which Costa Rica specializes in different domains, and we are ready to fulfill the needs of different segments in Costa Rica. Even younger travelers. This is something that has to be heard. Probably throughout the years, we have thought about the capacity of an older, let's say, population. But Costa Rica understood that this new generation, the one that looks on the internet and the one that informs itself, we have been able to receive numbers as a 29% of the travelers that are between the age of 25 and 34. Definitely, we need to hear them and also look for their interest. I'll open this a little bit. 61% of our tourism is in between 18 and 44 years old, younger travelers. Even though we're ready to receive physically challenged people, third age customers, we know, as a matter of fact, that these new generations also have put in their eyes into Costa Rica as their destination. It isn't easy to fulfill and satisfy and draw a smile on younger. I am a father of 2 teenagers, so I know how difficult that is. But every time we have student groups in Costa Rica, we see them leave with huge smiles and tears just because they don't want to leave their country. And believe me, having this on teenagers isn't easy. There are destinations that are good for just kids. Some of them are good for just adults. Costa Rica is a good destination for all ages. And we're aiming again toward this new generation, large characteristics in Costa Rica. And this is something really, really important when you consider where are you going to stay, where are you going to spend your time while you be in your traveling mode, right? Costa Rica remains dominated, we could say this way, by small and independent properties. So the average is about 15 rooms. Costa Rica open to domestic tourism to hotels with less than 20 rooms. And believe me, it is working because we have introduced the Costa Ricans to know their country. This is effective for us to share with the Costa Rican the beauties of the country itself. So this is something, again, remember how we began this. You don't want to think about crowded places. Your customers don't want to think about crowded places. So the characteristics of Costa Rica would allow you to have this. Imagine, you could be in your room and have your little pool out there, not having to share this with anyone else. And I mean, look at the scenario. Isn't that beautiful? I don't think there's no customer that would love to be in a place like this exactly right now. Okay, a path to reopening. So we need to keep this in mind. What's happening around us, it's going to be competitive. Definitely every country that has tourism will try to attract tourism and will try to seduce. So Costa Rica, and you can see the worldwide situation over here, has created strategies to reopen. Again, our opening, estimated opening day will be August the 1st for our borders. So would be informing this throughout the Costa Rican Tourism Board official website. Throughout Pro Imagen, you can keep in contact with us and we'll give you all the updated official information. Please avoid the fake pages. There are so many of them. Go to the official links in this matters. But Costa Rica will be opening promptly, obviously looking at all the protocols as we have mentioned and trying to keep all the international linings, respect them in all matters. If information comes from just us, you can say we're making that up. But if you can see, these are names you know. These are brands you trust, probably. And they are mentioned in Costa Rica as a top destination to visit after this COVID-19. So we'll share just these experiences as a witness to how deep in love visitors could be related to Costa Rica. This was a family that was supposed to come to Costa Rica in the UK. They couldn't. So very comprehensive parents did this with their kids, and they literally created a forest in the basement. If you want to see this video, it's in the Good Morning America, but also since you have registered for this webinar, you can write and contact Pro Imagen. We can send you this so you can share with your clients and see if this is possible with a person that hasn't visited the country. If you can be so in love with a country that you haven't seen, imagine what it will be like once they come. This is another experience. This was a family trapped here with the coronavirus, also from the UK, that probably knew that this would take a while and that the kids didn't have to go back to school. So what a better education, what a better formation that living in a country that we fell in love with. And this is what they did. They stayed in Costa Rica and listen to what they say. They don't regret it because they were able to stay in a country friendly enough to make them feel at home, safe enough to make them feel like they were being taken care of, in a country that had good services. In case they had something, they knew there was a medical system that would be there to take care of their needs. In a country that is self-sufficient, that no virus yet has been able to keep us away from food supplies and, of course, toilet paper. Everyone was going after toilet paper. They understood the safety of staying in a country like this. And forever happy, this is what happened. They were stranded in Costa Rica. Well, let's do it. Let's get married in Costa Rica. I couldn't think about a better place to be trapped than my country. Not because it's my country. I have been able to travel to different countries throughout this formation, throughout ProImagen and the Costa Rican Tourism Board, and I've seen beautiful, beautiful countries that really makes me want to come back. But I know there's just one place where I want to spend the rest of my life, and it's my country. Because of all the things that I've mentioned, because of the people, because of being able to, if I feel like it, drive from the capital and see the sunrise on the Caribbean, and then drive to the Pacific and look at the sunset in front of a beautiful, fresh dish of seafood and tropical fruits, if that's the case. So why is Costa Rica a top destination? Basically, these are some of the reasons, but we're sure that you have other questions. So this is a time where we would love to receive your questions and see if there's any other doubts about the country. Joe Statiano, you mentioned distances and no crowds. Please talk specifically about Mount Antonio. I was there in February, just before COVID closures. All of the parks, Joe, thank you very much for your question, that are open. For now, we just have 12 of them, have taken also alignments. It begins with the fact that you buy online, previous to your visit, your tickets. So we are regulating the amount of visitors. At this time in Costa Rica, there's still no access to the beach itself. So definitely that limits the amount of people that want to go into a place like Manuel Antonio if you're going to the beach. We are actually receiving visitors, local visitors and the resident and foreigners that are residents in Costa Rica into Manuel Antonio. And we have seen that actually it's a good and safe experience. And the fact of having less visitors per square meter, let's say it this way, allows us to have more contact with nature, better sightings. So definitely, Mr. Joe, I would have to say it's a good thing that has happened. We have less people and we can control with reserving previously online how many people there will be going, what time are they going in and what time will they be going out. Oh, very good, Joe. See, that changed your mind. Definitely, it's very good. Guess what I'm having for lunch today? Ceviche, marinated seafood. Definitely, it's something really, really good. So we'd love to know if there's any other questions that you would have about this presentation. Hoping again that we have been able to answer your questions, doubts about Costa Rica. If not, this video will be available throughout our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and you can contact us throughout our address. We have yours, you have ours. ProImagen is working to ease your reservation process in Costa Rica. In just one contact, you have all the professionals ready to answer your questions and help you build up the dream package for you and your customers. So believe me, don't hesitate. Go to professionals, go to the expertise we have here inland on the country itself, and we will be more than pleased to help you with all the questions and all the doubts you might have about Costa Rica. We'll give a few minutes again to see if anyone else has a question. If not, I am assuming you understood everything or nothing. I'm not really sure about what would be the answer, but we hope that you have enjoyed this, that you have learned a little bit, that this comforts you when you think about Costa Rica as the destination to sell for your customers, in order to have positive feedbacks once they have visited the country. We know how much you care about your clients because we understand how difficult it is to get clients. Therefore, again, we're opening our doors, our ears to help you in any way possible in your next sales for Costa Rica. We're going to ask at the end, have any questions? Apparently we don't. So we'd like to thank you again for your attention, for your time, and hoping to see you in our next webinars. Thank you very much from my behalf, from the Grupo Imagen. Thank you very much of the Costa Rican Tourism Board, and thank you very much from all the Costa Ricans that depend on you and your customers visiting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, George and Bob. Thank you very much, Joe. It's been a pleasure. Goodbye.